Welcome everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Today we're here with my good buddy Dino. I actually met him from work. Dino, you want to introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, my name's Dino Giamalis.
Yeah. We met at work, and we just kind of clicked. Our personalities are really we have a lot of the same interests. And so what's up, man? How you been?
Dude, I'm doing all right, man. Can't complain. Life's good.
Yeah. I found out today that Dino is really close to where I live. So we're almost neighbors. He's at one of the suburbs that kind of rims around where Chicago is. Hey, Dino, did you grow up? Wait, you live in Berwyn or Cicero?
I live in Berwyn, born and raised, actually.
Okay, cool. And I don't know too much about Berwyn except like a lot of the mobsters used to hang out there and stuff. They had like all kind of bars and whatever.
It's actually one of the original suburbs, actually, of Chicago. So back in the Al Capone days, obviously Chicago was the main city, and then Oak Park, Berwyn, and Cicero was formed. So it's actually one of the original OGs suburbs.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. I do like Berwyn. There's a place that I actually I take a lot of girls there on dates when I meet a couple, when I meet women. It's called Duck Fat.
That's right. Actually in Forest Park, I think.
Oh, is it Forest Park?
Yeah, on Madison Street.
All right, so yeah, scrap that. Timestamp and erase. No. But anyways, yeah. So anyways, but I do like it. It's a really it's a nice town.
It's a gem, actually. There's certain parts in the city that have billboards that say Berwyn's Chicago's best kept secret.
Yeah, I feel like it is. There's like really old school shit. Is it Freddy's, that Italian place?
That's, unfortunately, we cannot claim
that either. Where's that at?
It's in Cicero, technically.
But
it's literally probably 3 blocks off of Berwyn.
All right, so let me just say that in my mind, every time I think Berwyn, I always lump Cicero in there, or I think Cicero, I always lump in Berwyn. But I know people who live in Berwyn don't like that. And Cicero people wish they had the Berwyn name.
You know what's funny is a lot of people who are from Berwyn, they don't rep it or love it as much as I do. Some of them are like, I can't wait to get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, what? It's such a, I don't know. I love it. It's like it's a sweet little, it's tight knit. It's like just a giant square. I don't know.
Yeah. You grew up there. It's community for you. You went to school there. You probably have a bunch of buddies.
Very biased.
Yeah, dude. I grew up in one of the absolute worst neighborhoods in Chicago. It was kind of like an entry to the rest of the city. So it was one of those neighborhoods that started off as, I might get this wrong, but at one point it was like Polish, then Lithuanian, and then Czech. Or just one of those, but I don't have the right order of which they came through. It's probably Polish first, and whatever.
Where at? What cross streets?
So they call it 18th Street, but it's really Pilsen.
Oh, Pilsen. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I grew up in Pilsen, and man, I got love for Pilsen. And, so I'm Puerto Rican, but it's all like
it's
Mexican.
Popping right now. It's super popping right now. You can't buy property in Pilsen. If you were smart enough to buy it 12 years ago,
yeah,
you would be killing it right now with rent.
So one of my childhood best friends, who literally just bought a house like down the street, over by, I don't know, when you came down, did you come down Archer?
I did.
Yeah, so down Archer, there's this really cool bakery, a Weber Grill. It's pretty famous. So he actually bought a place like right down the street. But anyways, so he also grew up there with me. I moved in when I was 6 years old, 5 or 6. But his dad moved in 1976. So I believe he was born in that house. Mm. So they bought that house for something like $7,000. Right now, they've been there the whole time. They watched it go up. They watched it go down. Mm-hmm. They went from like, what is it, the 1930s Polish era to all the way through like the Hispanic time where it became like just a Spanish ghetto, and now it's like this really cool artsy place where it's come up.
For sure.
It's come up. Now, you don't see kids. You don't see so many kids playing on the street. It's more like people walking their dogs. Yeah. And then obviously it's people not from there, but there's a huge artist community.
For sure.
Yeah. And it's really cool. They got all the murals. I do have a mural friend, right?
Exactly. I was just about to bring that up, actually. That Lacuna Arts is dope in Pilsen. I think it's right off of like Cermak somewhere.
Okay.
And it's very artsy in that area. And actually, they just built another. There's an old factory. I forgot the name of it, but they revamped it. Now it's all artist space, and I think
the Wachowski building, is that?
That doesn't.
I don't know if that's what they call it, but I feel like that's what we used to call it.
There's a soccer stadium, not stadium, indoor soccer place like right next to it.
Okay.
It's like an old ass factory, but look like super. You could look at the old building on the outside. And it's super old, but the inside's kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure. So, you were telling me that you have a newfound interest.
Yeah, we were briefly talking about bare knuckle boxing, and so we were talking about UFC, and then I transitioned to bare knuckle boxing. It is insane. It's much more.
Is this something you want to do?
Oh, absolutely not. But what's funny is watching that. There is a part of you as a man that's like, how would I fare? You know, there's almost.
Like, you want to test yourself.
I would love to test myself, but to
like someone your size, or like
have to be
like
my
a school
size
kid, like somebody an 8th grader.
No, it would have to be someone my size, obviously, but I would need another guarantee that they're just as unprofessional as me, like amateur as I am. You know,
for sure. Yeah. You would have to be paired up with somebody that's at your level.
100%. But if there was like a bar league, let's say, and there was like some kind of way to like figure that out, I think I would try at least one.
I don't know, dude.
You gotta test yourself.
Yeah. There's other ways of testing yourself. You go for a swim.
Now, I wouldn't do bare knuckle boxing. That's fucking next level. Now, if you want to put some gloves on, you know, with like, you can still get hurt, but now you're not gonna.
Is there somebody at work you might want to call out?
Nah, you know, there's not. You know,
coming after Picarillo.
Oh, right. Actually, he's about to retire. I think.
Yeah. He may have already.
Good for him.
Yeah.
He's a workaholic, though. I don't think he's ever actually gonna stop.
Yeah, no, I don't think he's gonna stop either. I always joke about him having immigrant mentality.
Okay. Let's talk about that. I was just thinking about the other day. I think they have that's the better American mentality to have, is the immigrant. America is more suited for the immigrant mentality, because if you are a hard worker and you're a visionary, like, you can make all that come true in America. And I feel like people who are born here don't even realize that they are born with this opportunity, because it's all you ever know. So if you were born here and you just think everything should just, like, it's kind of easy and blah, 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 but you come here from a different country, you see that, I didn't have an opportunity over there, but now I come here and I have a big opportunity. I'm going to make the most of it. And those guys who fucking work hard kill it. It's like most immigrants who came here own shit. And then most people who are born here work for another person who owns it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that there are certain parameters if you follow. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you work hard, right? And you're smart enough not to get captured, you know, like credit card capture, or like, you know what I mean? Like car note captured. If you're smart enough to just stay kind of like under the radar with some of those things, I think you can achieve a lot. Maybe you're not going to become you're not going to be a millionaire. Maybe, you can. You can, because, I mean, I don't know. I think they say that something like 90% of millionaires are millionaires because they were also born into money.
I don't know if it's that high, but I would say what's other beneficial for an immigrant is that they don't have the materialistic view that Americans have. So if you don't have that view, you don't spend your money on stupid shit. Like, we all want the newest fucking Yeezys, blah, 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 blah.
Gotcha.
Immigrants who come here, they don't spend that $250.
Yeah.
on that thing. They saved it. They wear the same shoes until it's fucking. They don't care. It's Fila and some weird whatever. Like
Yeah.
I think that's the difference. I think that's why those guys make it, and they see an opportunity. Like I could own they see the value of owning their business way more than I think an average American does.
Yeah, I mean, but part of it has to do with like being raised, right? Like I think that if you're raised here, lots of times you go by what you're taught at school, and really what they're telling you is you need more school to get the job. And then so like immigrants, I'm not speaking for all of them, right? It's not like a blanket thing where it's all the same. But so a lot of times I feel like so my dad came here from Puerto Rico. It's still America, but it was completely different from where he grew up in a hut close to the beach. He didn't wear shoes. He would hide. So the stories that he would tell would be like, and some of them are really hilarious, but I'll tell you just
Was he born in the 50s?
He was born in 1948. So he's born in a town called Moca, Puerto Rico, and so he lived in this hut. This hut was kind of raised up off the floor because of flooding during the rain, hurricanes, and stuff like that. But so they established a school. He started going to school, but he would have to dress up. Like he would have to wear a shirt, collared shirt, button down, his pants, and special shoe, not special shoes, but the kind of uniform shoes that they had picked out for the school.
Sure.
And so he hated school, right? Because he lived kind of like this wild jungle life where, he hung out in, I know it sounds crazy to say jungle, but Puerto Rico, it's like your backyard would be a jungle back then. Because there wasn't really like roads. It wasn't really set up like for cars and stuff. Even though they were out there, it was more set up for like horses and shit like that. So my dad would say that. So he didn't have to go to school every day. He would hide a shoe.
So he had to go in uniform.
And so many times he would say that his mom would beat him up and be like, "You're going to school," and he would go to school with one shoe. So what he started doing is he started just skipping school, and eventually his mom was like, "All right, that's it. 6th grade is as far as he's gonna go." So he ended up getting a job with one of his dad's friends, and he became like a concrete guy. Building houses.
He didn't want to conform, right? He felt like
he was like, "Fuck this, man! I'm a jungle boy. I'm always gonna be a jungle boy." But I mean, he got into construction, and then he came here in 1970. I think it's 1974.
What was his first job when he got here?
Marshall Fields.
Interesting.
Marshall Fields. Yeah, he was a janitor. He was a janitor for most of his life. But he ended up working for Marshall Fields. He would let all the union guys in and do whatever work he would clean the place, mop the place, wax the place. Just keep it
nice,
spiffy.
There you go.
Yeah. So so his mentality, he came here. He just wanted to kind of work and kind of just for him it was like, I need to get away from Puerto Rico, and so he kind of ran away from Puerto Rico. These are stories that he told me. So I'm not sure I'm getting it exactly right, because he would have to tell it, because it's not really my story to tell. This is what's his story. But I think what happened was he found a dog. He brought it home. No, that might be somebody else. Oh, here's what he did. He wanted to get away from Puerto Rico. So what he did was he took a bunch of oregano. This is his story, bro. He took a bunch of oregano and he sold it to somebody. But before he did that, he bought some weed. And he told them, "Hey, you want to buy this? I'm selling. I don't want it." And so the guy goes, "Well, no, give me a sample." So my dad had pre-rolled a roll of weed for him. He smoked it. He's like, "All right." He gave him the money, and with that money, my dad came here.
Oh, the old swapperoo.
So he did the whole swap thing, and so that's the money he used to come here. He came here. He lived with his cousin Victor, and Victor helped to get him a job and wherever he was working, which was Marshall Fields back in the day.
That's crazy. It's crazy, the stories of all the different people, how they got here.
Yeah. So at the beginning, I was talking to you about a possible name. So this podcast was going to be called Cookie Breath, and it's because of the fact that I enjoy cookies so much. And I told you about how, now I'm not eating sugar because I'm tired of being a fat fuck. Done with that shit. Hopefully, right? Hopefully my will is stronger than my desire to eat sugar.
Yeah, I think you do have to get to a point where you're finally, because a lot of times it's lip service to yourself. You're like, I'm done with
Well,
this.
I just told you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my skill.
I think I think finally there is a point where you're like so disgusted that you finally like, fuck it. It's not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I got to that stage before. I go back and forth. I love cookies too. God damn it.
Yeah, but you have the body of an athlete. Yeah, I look like a candle that's got started and melted, and then you know what I'm saying? You're about to light it again, you know?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is a little easy. There's probably people who see how I eat, and they're like, how do you maintain?
Yeah.
But it ebbs and flows. There's a lot of times where I restrict myself and I won't have dessert and I won't do those things. But I'm a big fan of cookies myself. So
But walk me through a day. What's your like average day
of what I eat?
Yeah, just like tell me your regimen. Because looking at you, I could tell. Oh, he works out. He's a fucking dime. This dude works out. He works out. Of course, like you see him walk in, you're like, God damn it, hide the girls.
I appreciate that. All right, well, typical like good day is I'm up at 5, right, for work. I drink a glass of water immediately, so that's more recent actually, and it's you feel it like you just slept whatever 6 to 8 hours. Obviously, you didn't drink anything, so your body wakes up. You're dehydrated whether you know it or not.
I've been doing that for years.
Okay. So I wake up, I have a glass of water, and then, I make my coffees, whatever, and I don't eat right away, right? So I'm up at 5. My first calories are usually about 9:30, or 10 whenever we have our break at work. And then I like to eat light. So if I'm being good, I will have meat and fruit. So I'll have like... if I typically had steak the night before, I will have made an extra steak for the lunch the next day. And it will be ribeye. Let's say I go to Costco, get those ribeyes, those primes, though. They're so good.
What's it like to have money?
You know what? I don't have a girlfriend anymore, so that extra money gets spent on me.
Sorry to hear that, but awesome for you.
But, so yeah, I'll have a good lunch for me is a ribeye and a Honeycrisp apple. What you know about Honeycrisp apples?
Well, okay, so I hear honey, I hear crisp, which right away
let you know it's sweet.
It's good. It's got to be good. I mean, crunchy. Like I love crunchy things, and honey's fucking delicious.
It's the most expensive apple, by the way, which is bullshit.
Okay.
I will tell you how I don't pay full price for it, though.
Well,
all right,
are you going to get arrested after this?
I guess if Jewel wants to come after me, they can.
Shit.
So when you're doing the self-checkout, you just check out the cheaper apple instead of the Honeycrisp.
Oh,
so Jewel's getting money for apples, just not for Honeycrisp apples.
Okay. All right, well, I mean, also too, like
stealing technically maybe, but are they getting $0? They're not getting $0.
All right. Well, I don't agree or disagree.
You know, so that's for lunch, right? So then I get out of so that's at let's say 9:30, right? And then I get out at 2, and I come home, and then I like to have before the gym's 5-6 days a week minimum.
Wow.
I actually have to force myself to take a day off because I won't. I've gone 13, 14 days, and that's not trying to brag. That might be not a good thing. But
because I'm the opposite. I've gone 300 and something days without hitting the gym.
You know what happened? I made a choice 2 girlfriends ago. So I was in a 6-year relationship.
God damn.
I was in a 6-year relationship. And I just didn't, listen, being an athlete my whole life, being a little vain, I didn't like the way I was looking. And so I was like, okay, I need to make a choice. I saw myself in the mirror, and my belly was out more than my chest. And I was like, this is not attractive. So me and her ended up breaking. Actually, like a month or 2 before we broke up, I was in the gym. I started going pretty regular, like 3-4 days a week. And then when we broke up, I was like, and I just became journeyman. So I was like, okay, so this is basically a promotion. I'm about to make some real money. Things aren't going great with the girlfriend. Finally got rid of her. I was like, I'm working and going to the gym. That's it.
You decided to work on yourself.
Work on myself mentally and physically. Started listening books, started watching more positive things. Just made a choice that, especially the gym, though, I was like, the gym will be a part of my life. And then just kept going. Just fucking did it. And then actually what's, like I said, I have to train to not go to the gym because I've gone so much. It becomes like, it really is addiction.
Okay.
It really, if you could probably categorize it as an addiction, because if I don't go, I fucking feel it. I feel like a piece of shit. I feel like everything that I just worked for that week, I lost it, which is probably not the way to think about it, but because there's probably no truth to it. But yeah, sorry, I'm making all types of noise here.
Yeah, no. I get the point where you get addicted to it, because I mean, I've been addicted to some things at some points. Jiu-jitsu, I used to go to jiu-jitsu. I got addicted to it for years, and then I just fizzled out. But I mean, so you go through these changes and whatnot. But so how did you learn how to, like, the gym intimidates me. Why? Because I don't feel like I know how to work out.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Like I can lift the weight, but I'm like, there's posture, you know what I mean? And there's like, I don't know if I have the right posture. So sometimes, like, I'll go to the gym and I'll be intimidated. I have like a Planet Fitness. I do go to the gym occasionally, but because I don't know how to work out, I'll just do a treadmill, I'll do an elliptical, and then I'll leave.
You know what's all right? So I'm super glad you brought that up, because that's what all right, so I do have a small, all right, we established I like going to the gym, so I try to figure, okay, how can I make money off this, right? Because it's like, it's something I'm already going to do, so it's like, I'm allocating X amount of time to doing it. Maybe there's a way for me to actually make money off it. So I thought about that. It's a mentality, right, of the, especially the beginner fit person who's on the beginner thing. Because, all right, example, I try to bring my dad, right?
Okay.
I know when I brought my dad, he was overwhelmed, and because you don't know a lot of things, you don't want to put yourself in any kind of uncomfortable position, right?
Yeah.
And for sure, even when I went to the gym at first, there's definitely that learning curve of the machines. You got to learn how to do shit, but that, like, you don't know if people are staring at you, or are you doing something wrong and somebody's low key making fun of you. You go through all those like things in your head, like, people
for sure.
People staring at, are they staring at me? Am I not doing this right?
Well, and also, what about like social media? Like, if you're doing something wrong, they'll record you, and then you'll see it on YouTube or Instagram, and I don't want to be one of those memes, bro. I don't want to ever show up on what is it, hip hop world star. I never want to be there.
I would say you got to get the fuck over it. You just got to get over that feeling of like insecurity, because no one's fucking looking at you. No one gives a shit about you. You're the main actor in your movie, and you think everyone's looking at you. No one gives a shit, dude.
Okay, well, maybe there's something wrong with me, because, like, obviously you'll see the pretty girl, or you'll see the I'm not into guys. I'm just saying, you'll see like a strong guy, you'll be like, fuck.
You know what? So I just heard a recent quote. You shouldn't compare yourself to anyone, because, all right, for instance, like me, right? You think I'm really in shit. You can't compare yourself to me, because I've been doing this for 6 straight years.
Yeah.
So you got to compare. You shouldn't compare, but like, you can't compare yourself to somebody who's already established it, right? Because somebody who's already been doing it, like Pete Jr., for instance, someone we work with,
right?
He's a monster. He's been doing it for 15 years. So for me to compare myself to him, I will automatically make myself feel bad, because I'm not that. Well, I can't. How do you can't substitute 16 years in the gym, 5 days a week. So, but that's the one thing I would look, because I think that is the major hurdle for someone like my mom, my dad. How do they get excited about going to the gym because the initial those feelings are hard to get over. And even me, when I try something new, because there's new exercise, you got to change your workout every so often. So sometimes I'll do something I've never done before. Squats. Okay, for instance, I didn't do leg workouts for the first couple years because I played soccer my whole life, and in my mind I'm like, oh, my legs are good, I don't really need to work out. Then I worked out with a buddy and I did squats the first time. It felt so awkward, right? You feel so awkward, but you just got to get over it. You just got to, and then ask somebody. But better than that is go on YouTube. Go on fucking YouTube. Yeah. Watch the workouts. See what they're doing. They'll talk about, you know, posture and how you're supposed to do it. And or if that's not good enough, then fucking ask somebody. You know?
Yeah. No, you're right about that. You're right about that. And yeah, I guess I just have to fucking put my belt a little tighter and fucking go in there and just fucking do it.
Or you get a trainer. You get it, pay a couple $100 for a trainer for a couple times just to show you stuff. You know, like
that's probably the best one. That's the route.
But that's the best choice for sure. But you also got to get an enthusiastic fucking trainer because, for instance, the trainers at my gym, a lot of them are just doing it because it's their job. You know what I'm saying? They're not like trying to help you tweak your form. They're not giving you any kind of verbal encouragement. Like maybe they are. I can't. You know, I'm not there the whole time, but I see the way some of them are doing it.
Yeah, it's like the McDonald's version of
for sure. And they're young kids. They're all younger than me and stuff. And it's like you're just doing this for a job. And then then you gotta look at their body. You know, if the personal trainer doesn't have that nice of a body, then they're working in theory. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right. Totally. That's for sure. If I'm gonna get a trainer, that motherfucker better be jacked.
Right? Well, that's the one you want. And not all of them have to be like super jacked, but you should look like, I would trust this person.
It's like that one classic joke of like, don't ever take advice for a restaurant from a skinny guy.
Exactly. No, really, you don't trust a skinny chef.
Yeah.
For sure. There's definitely truth in that.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thanks for the advice. So I'm definitely gonna do that, and I'm so because I did jiu-jitsu for such a long time that I want to be a part of a class. So I was looking for like part of a class. I found a couple of places that are really cool. I found this F45. It's too far.
It's interesting. Those are good places to go. I've gone to classes. My ex used to like going to those.
What's it like? I've only read about it. I've just found it like a week ago. I've only read about it.
What those are good at is keeping. They're good for like fat burning. Okay. So it's like not necessarily you're gonna gain a lot of muscle and stuff. Like it's not like heavy lifting. It's more like let's keep your heart rate at this. So what it is you'll do several different exercises all timed. So you'll do like, I don't know, like a 30 sec. I don't know if it's like 30 seconds or a minute of bicep curls, and the next one is like, I don't know. Sometimes it's complimentary. Sometimes they're not always complimentary. That's actually what the issue I had about those places is that I don't think they put a lot.
What do you mean by complimentary?
So they'll do like muscle groups that maybe shouldn't be worked out together. So you do bicep curls and then like jump squats. And it's like, could you work out your legs and arms? Yeah, you could work out your legs and arms. So you want to
go from like bicep to tricep.
Exactly. So you don't want to you're not trying to send all your blood to different parts of your body, right? So if you're doing a bunch of squats and then you're trying to do arm stuff, it's like too far for your blood to travel. You'd rather do biceps and triceps, something that's staying in that local area, or chest and triceps. It's like
that's really interesting because I don't know shit about it.
And that's the other thing I was going to say to you about. You have to learn what muscle groups work best together.
Yeah.
So typically, let's say you're going to do a chest day. Some people just do chest only because it's a big muscle.
Yeah.
It could require a lot of time and just to really work it out. But lately I've been doing a lot of biceps and triceps at the same time. So I used to do chest and triceps just alone.
Okay.
But then I add, it's just as easy to do triceps, and then after the 10th rep to switch it and do biceps all in the same thing. So I've been doing more of it. So I've been doing like chest and arms instead of just chest and tricep, because it's just as easy to do a bicep curl in the same time as a tricep. Meaning like one full set, I'll do 10 bicep curls. Switch, like let's say I'm doing one of those cable machines, for instance.
Okay.
I'll do a bicep curl for 10 reps or whatever I'm doing, and then I'll quickly switch to the tricep side and then do 10 or whatever, and that's one set.
Okay.
And then like legs typically you want to do by themselves. I would say you're so much you can do. You don't need to do anything else but just your legs. You can do squats, you can do hamstrings, calves, all that should be in one day.
So for me, easy to do, bicep curls, bench presses, squats,
Okay.
pull-ups. Like that's what I know how to do. But
Right.
then I see other people doing some other stuff. They use the cable machine, but they use it different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh man, like I want to do that, but I'm like, I'm just too fucking chicken shit to ask.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just got to get over that little thing, that little inner bitch that you feel. Just get over it, Ask that dude, hey, what's that working out? Or blah, 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 like, how do I do it? Most of the time, like me, you ask me anything about fitness, I'll go on and on and on, right?
Nice.
People at the gym, they want to tell you shit. So it's like, they would love to teach you how to. They're like, oh, this guy's asking me how to do something. Like, they'd love to teach you.
Yeah.
So just get over it. Like, but like pull-ups, right? That's a pull day. So I'll have a whole pull day, like doing back.
Okay.
That should be like its own day. And I used to mix biceps with that. So a back day is another day where I'll do back, bis, and tris, because I used to do back and bis. And like I said, now I switch it to I'd always do bis and tris on the same time, because it's like, might as well. Like I can do it, so it works out. And I've noticed the difference, and the pump in the arm is different. Okay. You really feel that muscle get worked out.
Yeah, I've gotten there where I feel swollen. I feel like, I feel good. And of course, you get the good feeling hormones coming out.
Oh hell yeah, those are endorphins.
Endorphins, yeah. So I've had that.
That's a very real thing, by the way, and that's
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's another thing I wish I could explain to people. If you're a heavyset person, chances are you don't go to the gym, right? You've never felt that high that comes with that workout, and it doesn't have to. They call it a runner's high. A lot of runners get it.
Yeah.
But you can get that with weights as well. I think you just have to get yourself to a point of like exhaustion, like working hard.
Yeah.
It's very real thing, and I would say that's probably what I'm addicted to.
Okay.
I'm addicted to that feeling mixed with like music, because I will deprive myself of music all day until the gym, so it like really hits.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like that in combination of like
I like that strategy where you deprive yourself from music. For
Right.
me, I'm a glutton, so music is in my ear all day long.
Okay,
At work all day.
Right.
At home all day.
I'm with you, and you know what? It's pretty amazing how much listening time we have at work, right?
Yeah. It's almost
So
meditative.
for people who don't know, is that we're both painters, right? So I think he would agree that we do mindless work, right? We know how to paint.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing, and
Yeah.
so you need your mind occupied. So, AirPods and listening to stuff is very crucial. So during the day, I like to listen to a lot of talking, podcasts, books.
Yeah.
And then that way, when I go to the gym and I listen to music, it hits different, because it's like finally I'm getting.
No, I totally am like, I'm feeling that. I like that strategy. I could see that's something that I'm going to implement. So, so recently, as of, so today's Saturday, Friday was 1 week. Exactly 1 week, no sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Because the last time I had sugar and it wasn't really sugar in the form of sugar. I had chips.
Okay.
At work, so I had corn.
Did you weigh yourself?
So I did not weigh myself, but I weighed myself probably like a month ago, and I was like 256.
Okay.
And the scale is something I'm afraid of.
Interesting.
I like fuck that thing. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I'm heavier, but my clothes still fits me, right? Mm-hmm. But there are times that when I eat certain things where I feel like, fuck, these pants are like, I can't breathe right. Mm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like my clothes doesn't exactly always change, and I've always been that guy that kind of wears stuff just slightly big.
Okay.
So, but I do notice on my belt the notches. Like I'll fluctuate like 6 notches. Yeah. So come summer,
that's several inches.
Come summer, I always drop like a lot, probably 20, 25 pounds summertime, and not doing anything different. It's just that I'm outside more.
Yeah, you know what? I think the wintertime, I think it's very natural for the human to gain weight in the winter, right? Because it feels like
you're inside more.
You're inside.
Holidays, the cooking,
and I also think that like evolutionary traits, it's like we need to thicken up because we don't. Our bodies don't. You know, we still have our DNA's like our body, our same human. This human today is the same human like a million years ago, and they didn't have the abundance of food we have, right? So I think because it happens to me every fall. All of a sudden, like I go from summer eating light, eating like clean, because you're hot, right? You don't want. That's another thing too, right? You don't want to eat heavy when it's hot outside, right? It always feels like you want to eat more salads, more fruit, more. And then in wintertime, you're like, I need more stews, more of the shepherd's pie. You know what I'm saying? Like the heavy stuff.
Dude, for me, it's like, I can't wait for pecan pie and Christmas and Thanksgiving. You know what I mean?
November, December might be the worst. It might be the easiest 2 months to gain weight by far. Yeah. Because the season changes. Yeah. And then you got the holidays around the corner. And then
I could say I've been bulking for 10 years. I'm bulking, bro.
It's you know what it is? It's just little habits. Like you said, you want to cut the cookies out and the sugar. That is fucking huge. All right. So the last time
I'm still getting cravings, by the way.
Oh, you'll get your stomach is a second brain. Yeah. And you will, if you deprive that thing that your body's used to.
I have a third brain too, but we'll talk about that later.
If you deprive it, we're a lot alike when it comes to desserts, right? So I think once you finally cut that out, your body's used to those calories, and you're like, it wants those. So if you're especially if you're like a nighttime sweet guy, like let's say you can go all day without sweets, but at nighttime it just hits you.
Yeah, I don't eat so much at night. For me, it's like I'll eat. So I'll come from work and I'll eat, and then I might have a second serving. But then after that second serving, I want something sweet.
Always.
And if there's nothing in my cabinets, I'm fucking searching.
Right.
And I fiend for it.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I know that.
And so I have Jewel right there. And Jewel's Bakery is like...
Fire.
Oh,
fire.
They're fucking cookies.
Those those chocolate cookies, those chocolate brownie cookies, those Selects.
Yes.
Fire, dude. So good.
I'll reach into the bag. If they're stuck together, I'm like, well...
That's one.
My daughter would be like, Dad, how many cookies did you have? I was
like, so soft.
Well, they were stuck together, so one. It's like, how many were stuck? 2?
Yeah, right.
So I never get an accurate account.
I'm with you on that. Okay, so I'll have to admit, the other night, this might be 3 nights.
This is why we gel so well, because we have like so many fucking similarities.
3 nights ago, it was late at night. I think I had a glass of wine, right? Okay. And it had me like feeling nice, you know?
All right.
And I was like, oh, it made me think about like dessert. So I don't have anything in the house. I purposely didn't buy anything, right? I used to have like dark chocolate. I used to have these things for those cravings, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have shit. Okay. So I was like, man, what the fuck do I have? I remembered I have a box of pancake mix, right? So I'm like, oh, but I don't have syrup. I'm like, fuck, I can't eat. I got jelly. I swear to God, my crackhead fiend for sugar was like, make these. Oh, I even had a ripe banana. I mashed it. I threw it in the pancake mix. I'm like trying to get all culinary and shit.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you went off Food Network,
dude. Dude, I love it. It didn't turn out that well. Actually, I tried to. So I try. All right, this is actually kind of funny. So I'm fiending. I'm like, oh fuck it. I have these macro bars. You ever eat a macro bar?
I don't know what that is.
So a macro bar is like you're tracking your macros. It's like supposed to be like a kind of like a healthier little bar. Anyways, I bought it. I had it wasn't. They're not that sweet, so it didn't like.
It didn't hit the spot.
It didn't hit the spot.
Yeah.
So I'm after dinner. I'm kind of full, and I'm telling myself in the moment, you don't need to eat this. Like, what are you doing? I still I'm on like autopilot. My brain's telling me, yeah, I don't need to eat it, but I'm still moving, fucking making this shit, right? So I I'm like, oh, I'll top it with jelly. So I start making the batter to crack the egg, do the whole thing. This is at 9 o'clock at night, and right before I'm going to this is Sunday night, I think it was, and so I mashed the banana, put it all in. And then I'm like, oh, it says it makes like 3 medium-sized. That's a serving. It was like 3 medium-sized pancakes. But I'm like, fuck that. I'm just going to make one big one, you know? So I make it in my pan. I warmed butter up. I put it in there, doing the whole thing. I try to flip it. I jacked the flip. I fucking jacked it up.
Did it hit the pan or did it go outside the pan?
It made it in the pan, but it like kind of half folded.
Oh.
So it almost made like that omelet.
Scorpion.
I fucked it up. I'm like, damn it. And I still had enough batter in my mix that I didn't use it all in the first thing. So I'm like, whatever. I threw it to the side. I did it twice. I didn't flip it right, so it like flipped on itself. I know I fucked it up.
Was it the technique or was it the batter?
It was a little runny because the extra banana. I don't know. Maybe I don't know why it was extra runny. To be honest, I can't blame it on that banana. I don't think the banana would make it that much more runny. But the second one was more successful than the first one, but I still didn't flip it right. And it like caved in on itself, so it was like when I flipped it, it's still one side was still being cooked, you know.
Yeah, I'm picturing those people that are like on the skateboard and they'll come down the ramp off, but their back legs will hit the back of their head,
like a scorpion.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing.
It kind of was like that. Ugh. But anyways, it still worked out.
Did you eat it?
Half.
Oh, it's a disaster.
The first one I kind of tossed out. The second one I ate it and it tasted fine, like as far as like taste goes. And I had like the strawberry. I actually had this 4 berry preserves that I put on it. Okay. And I ate it, and I was like, after I was done eating, I was like, why did I do that? I didn't need to eat any of that.
I mean, the equivalent is like somebody breaking into someone's house, taking something, pawning it, and going out to go get their crack.
And dude, it really kind of was like that. And I have so that's the thing about being I am a sweet enthusiast, I would call myself, okay. Right? So every so often, if I deprive myself, I will make up for it. And it's like sometimes those crazy thoughts will be in my head. Like I'll search the house and I will fucking make something work.
Yeah. No, I can relate for sure. I don't for me, grocery shopping it's such a thing for me. I love it.
Oh, I love it too. I thought you were gonna say I felt like you were gonna say you hated it.
No, it's such
I
a
love
thing
it.
for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't wait till it's like grocery shopping day.
How many days a week do you go?
I only go once. I go on Saturday.
I like to go at least twice.
Do you?
I don't buy like a whole week's worth of shit because I don't think that far ahead.
All right.
But I will have like I'll meal prep for 2-3 days, and so I'll buy whatever.
Okay. I've gotten into that so I've always loved vegetable. Like I eat everything.
Okay.
So it's not like I have to get used to eating something new. My body has tasted everything now. Have you ever had fiddlehead ferns? I have.
Never even heard of it.
Okay, well, there's a lot of shit you've never even heard of that I've put in my mouth. Okay?
So, explain to me what those taste like.
You know what? It's the easiest way to describe it, it's green. Okay. Tastes green. and there's a little crunch to it. There's a little bitter to it. There's a little.
How do you prepare it? Like, what do you eat it with?
Yeah, you saute it like you would do like a kale, or like bok choy maybe. Yeah, so I like doing it. So what it is it's a fern. As it's growing, it comes out in a curl, right? So imagine a curl, a snail shell. So
Okay.
and it uncurls and then it becomes this fern. But what you're taking is the babies, like right when it pops from the pod and it's about to stretch out. Those are fiddlehead ferns. And so they're tasty, they're fresh, they feel fresh, but they're safe. They absorb all the flavors you put into them. So like, let's say you saute them with a little bit of garlic and maybe some chicken broth. They're gonna absorb all that flavor. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and it's savory. It's good.
Do you like to cook?
I love it. Big time.
Same.
Big time. I used to own a restaurant.
Oh, okay.
So I used to own a restaurant, so that's how I learned how to cook. But I didn't learn the traditional way.
Sure.
So
more hands-on versus
so
like
my ex. She went to school. She actually was a chef. She learned how to cook. She did all the culinary stuff, and I just watched her, and she taught me, and we opened the restaurant. And she was like, "Well, I don't like doing this anymore. It's too much hard work. I'm gonna teach him to do it." Then I started doing it. Then I was like, "Fuck this." You know what I mean? I love to cook, but I'm not that guy that wants to cook for the masses.
You know what? I've never cooked like a big meal for like 10 people or something. I've cooked for maybe 5, but that's about it.
Okay, yeah, no, I can prep. Like if I know you said meal preps. My wheel was spinning. I can do that for like a month, and I could probably set it all up in probably like a 4-hour shift. Yeah.
No, I think cooking, it's really, I ramped it up the last like few.
It's art.
It really is. You know what? My dad cooked. My dad came over here from Greece, and one of his first jobs was in a kitchen.
Oh, nice.
So he always cooked, and then growing up, my mom did most of the cooking in the house. She's decent.
So that would be like the Mediterranean diet?
They definitely had their Greek dishes for sure. Lemon chicken and potatoes was for sure a thing. But my mom would make meatloaf and all types of stuff. Yeah. And she was a decent cook. Growing up, I would say my mom was an amazing cook.
Oh yeah.
Then being a little older, I realized like what she was cooking and her. She did the best she could.
Look, man, moms have 1, maybe 2 bomb ass dishes
for sure.
1 or 2, and those are the ones when you come back home, you're like, "Mom, can you?" You know what I mean?
What was your mom's?
Oh man, arroz con pollo, rice and chicken.
Ooh.
So basically, it's like you take the chicken, you take the rice, you add all our flavors into it. You just throw it all in one. It's like a crock pot on the stove.
I love it.
It all cooks together. You get all this flavor. It's kind of creamy. It's chickeny.
I would say my mom's was her meatloaf. Just my mom always had good mashed potatoes. That was definitely a thing that like I always loved her mashed potatoes. Yeah. And meatloaf and like corn. So that would be one of those things where I'm like, Ma, can you make this thing? Yeah. And what was another one? She got me onto. She'd make like a spaghetti, and her sauce would just be olive oil, garlic, and like Parmesan cheese. Oh. And it was like so simple, and I was like, "This is amazing." Yeah. So I would eat that a lot. She didn't. I don't know. She did like stuffed peppers a lot, which I didn't appreciate because I was younger and I didn't eat the vegetables much. Yeah. But being older, fuck yeah, it's great.
As you get older, your palate changes.
100%.
And you develop flavors for something else. You meet other people. You go to parties, and you're like, "Oh my god, what the hell is this?" I do remember so we always had like people would have like muscatcholi at parties. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was always like a staple. Yeah. Mashed potato, fried chicken, muscatcholi.
It's because you could make it in bulk.
Yeah, it's easy, it's quick, right? Yeah. And you could feed a lot of people, and it's good.
Yes.
But I had this one guy throw in a whole jar of giardiniera in the muscatcholi. And then I was
Changed your life.
oh my God. I was like, what? Yeah. And so I have some friends in California, and I took them jardinera.
Mm.
And now
It's
they
not
want
around
it
the
all
world,
now.
right? Or,
Well, it's not in California. They
it's
didn't
not-
know what it was.
It's only in Chicago, or like Illinois is like the only place that Chicago specifically that has jardinera.
Yeah. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and he was interviewing one of the girls from the UFC, and she actually
Vanessa, whatever.
Juliana Pena.
Yes,
Yeah. So she said she moved to Chicago, and she said the first thing Dana White told her was
the food or something.
she
Yeah,
said,
the
food's a problem in Chicago.
Yes, for sure. It
And
really
it is,
is.
man.
It really
It
is.
is. It is.
And I was just talking about this because we were talking about different foods in Chicago, and I'm like, dude, we're talking about quality of food in Chicago, and I'm like,
Bro.
it's high because first off, rent for any place that's like in a good spot is stupid expensive. So you better bring it. If you don't have good food, you just wasted your money. Yeah. You know, so like it really, we have a high density of good food because there's no other choice.
What's like, well, you figure like Midwest food, right? Excuse me. Like Midwest food. You know, you're talking about mashed potatoes, steak, like heavy, hearty stuff that'll keep you warm when it's cold.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have it's a melting pot here. So we have so many cultures that have melded together, and we have all that mix of all that fusion of all that different types of food. And then mix that in with like all the different schools that are here and all the culinary schools that are here. And then you have all this culture from the mob times to like just, and this beautiful city with the architecture. And you're like, of course, the food's going to be amazing. We have all these Michelin chefs, all these Michelin star restaurants. It's like, it could be just this fried chicken, little hole in the wall place, and it has a Michelin star here in Chicago. And they're all over the place. The food just doesn't stop. It's like there'll be 7 bomb ass taco places on a 1 mile stretch.
100%. I'd actually love to know the actual number of restaurants that you can eat out in the Chicagoland area.
I think you could eat at a different restaurant for 3 years.
Easy.
Every day, and you will not
that's less than 1,000. It's like 1,000 days. There's more than 1,000 restaurants.
Well, I feel like when you get to the end of the 3rd year, so many restaurants have closed, new ones have opened, and you'll start all over with a whole bunch of different places.
One thing I super regret is when me and my ex-girlfriend started dating. We one of our favorite things to do on the weekends is go try a new restaurant. And I really wish I would have kept, let's say, like a to-go, like a menu of all the places that I went.
Oh yeah.
Because I'd have a stupid book of restaurants. Then I remember.
Bro,
like,
that's actually a really good idea, man.
I wanted to start a food. Ask her. I said so many times
Do
we need to
it.
start a food review. Because the way me and her would talk about it was like, oh, I like the crunch of this. We would talk like it was like fucking food review. And I was like, dude, we snoozed of all the places we went. And she's got a good personality. I think I have a decent person.
Sure.
Like, we could have made something work. I just too scared, just didn't do it, and just whatever. But like,
now I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna give you the same advice you gave me. Just do it.
Get over
it, man.
I do want to start. I think a taco review is something Chicago needs.
Oh, okay.
So Dave Portnoy's got his own pizza review. You watch the Barstool guy?
I know who Dave Portnoy is, but I don't watch any of the Barstool stuff.
So he does a pizza review. It's like 2, 3, 4 minutes. It's nothing crazy. And he goes and tries all the different. He's been to Chicago. Excuse me. He's been to Chicago. He did his like little run, and it's just like once I found it like a few years ago, I watched like 2 hours of these 3-minute videos. Right?
Oh wow!
I just started going through them, and it's just like, it's just, I don't know. There's something I think there's a weird human thing that people like to watch people eat food and then talk about it. It's just it's just a weird thing. You can get sucked into it.
Well, your experience that like mouth pleasure.
Yes,
right?
it's almost like you're living vicariously through them as they're doing it.
That's
you know,
what YouTube is.
100%. So he's doing all these food reviews, and it's like whatever. Well, whatever. He was popular before that, but people also know him for those. He was popular for Barstool, but now people, really like his pizza reviews. And I was like, man, dude, there's no taco review in Chicago. And think about how many fucking taquerias and all these little places there are. You could stay busy with these taco reviews.
All right, so all this is gonna be. I'm gonna take all this out because we're gonna talk about this. We'll talk about this after you start doing it because you're gonna do this.
I need to.
You're gonna do this. Look, listen. Here's the deal. How many taco places are there? Forever amount.
Yes.
Taco trucks. Forever amount. Taqueros visiting. You know what I'm saying? Like it's endless. But not only that, taquerias. The actual place that make the tacos. How many do we have? I mean, I grew up in Pilsen. Pilsen has El Rey. That's
Del Toro. You ever been Del Toro? I don't know if that's in Pilsen, actually.
I don't know if that's in Pilsen. But, I mean, there's so many people.
El Poncho or something? Or
so
Punchy or... I forgot.
There's so many.
There's too many good ones.
Too many. And you could get into, like, super authentic stuff.
And then, you know what? You get to a point where, like, these places might know you. Like,
sure.
So when Dave, like I said, he was probably before the food, but like before the pizza reviews. But now he goes into places and everyone knows who he is. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for. They're like, I've been waiting for you to come here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it'd be nice to get to that status. I think, I don't know. I think it could work. I think there's no one doing it, and there should be somebody doing it.
Oh yeah, I think you should. I mean, how many tourists come into Chicago every year?
100%. And then think about this. So then what? So I thought about, like, I saw it on, like, raw onions, right? So none of my tacos would have raw onions. So I'm like, okay, what could I? So Dave Portnoy does cheese pizza only. He doesn't do pepperoni. He doesn't do sausage. So it's like you gotta. So what's my taco? I can't have like a taco with like. I don't like sour cream and cheese anymore, right? So I can't have those things on it. So I was thinking about just doing a plain steak, either just plain, which is kind of boring, right? With just plain with their version of green sauce or salsa verde, just doing those and just basing the whole review off the taste of the steak and the salsa verde. But then I was like, okay, maybe I could just do steak and cilantro, like just do something like where I can do across the board, because each taco place might have their own version of whatever. Some do lettuce, tomato, onion. Some just do onion and cilantro.
I think you can get into all that complicated stuff. Man, keep it simple.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So, like, I just want to do, like, a steak and cilantro across the board so it's simple. Yeah. So I can... So it all could be judged on the same scale, right? Because if some have chicharron or...
This is my number 1 spot, my number 2 spot.
I'm trying to, like, rank it. Like, this is a fucking 7.6 taco on my scale or whatever, you know?
Yeah. Because I know, like, there are breakfast taco places, not here, but in Texas. And it's like, I know there's somebody on YouTube that I have run across. I don't remember because I briefly saw this. But so he does like a taco review on breakfast tacos.
What part of Texas?
Austin.
Okay, what place? Did you know remember the place? Because I went to a place in Austin that had really good breakfast tacos.
No, I don't remember the name.
Was it a little diner, like a super small little diner?
Well, I saw a couple of his videos, and it was probably like a year ago, and it was like he went to some taco places, but he also did like food trucks, like breakfast food trucks.
Food trucks aren't that popular in Chicago, huh?
Yeah, I wonder why. I feel like it should be a thing.
I agree, and I think it was growing until COVID hit, because
it should come back.
My buddy had a food truck, and so I know a little bit like about so you have to get a separate permit just for Chicago, and I don't think you could just pull up anywhere. I think they might have designated spots, because like on I think it's Wacker, right next to the Sears Tower, I think like 3 or 4 of them pull up. Okay. And I don't know if they do that because the other ones pull up there, so they're like, hey, let's give options. Like, I don't know if that's what their thing is, but my buddy was saying how he got a permit for all like the surrounding towns, so like Berwyn, Lyons, Brookfield, Oak Brook, like he got a permit for, and so he was able to do like events and whatever there. But it didn't catch on like it's supposed to. In California, I know it's huge. Like that's like half their shit is like food trucks, and it's just not that big out here. I don't know why.
Let me just say, man, if you think it's big in California, I've been to California. I've seen some food trucks, and I'm sure it's big, but I haven't been everywhere in California. Florida, bro. Florida has food truck festivals.
Dude, you know what's chronic? All right, tell me about that. By the way, tell me.
So, I know Disney has like they have a mall called Disney Springs, and they'll have like food trucks come in there. But so I've never actually been to one, but my brother was telling me that there's a certain time of each month where all these food trucks just get together, and the event is about food trucks. So what you're doing is you go to your favorite food trucks or whatever. You know what I mean? If you have a food truck that makes bomb-ass donuts, people are there for those donuts. But what they have is they have all these picnic tables set up and a bunch of food trucks. So people just go get their food, come sit at the picnic table, and that's what they do. It's a whole event on food trucks.
I love it. That's something I would plan a vacation for. You know what? So I've had a kind of a food truck idea before. So I wanted to buy like a warehouse. Let's say like a typical warehouse that could have like, let's say 5 food trucks inside of it. Now the actual truck isn't there, but it looks like there are trucks there, so it's kind of like stationed.
Oh, okay, like a themed restaurant.
It's exactly. So you're almost walking into a food court, is what you're really walking into, right? So there'd be 5 stations, and each place would look like a food truck, same size, relatively. Like their whole setup's kind of the same, a small little fucking whatever how big a food truck is.
Yeah.
And there'd be like 4 or 5 of them, and so my idea was like I would buy this place, and then these food trucks would try to be in my place, and they could be interchangeable. So let's say they signed a 3-month lease, where whatever the number was that we discussed, and so people would pay. People would come in, and the idea was like you're trying to bring, instead of going to a restaurant that has one theme, you go to a place that has it's essentially a place that has 5 restaurants in it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like a mall food court.
It's essentially that, exactly.
That's a great idea. I mean, because you could actually buy. So, for instance, you could buy a property, set up a bunch of picnic tables in the middle,
right?
Set up your food trucks every day, and then have it a designated spot where people come for the food
right.
trucks.
I mean, that's another idea, is just buying a plot of land.
That's what you said.
You could literally just buy a plot of land.
Yeah.
Go to look up all the different food trucks there are and say, hey, listen, I'd like you to come to this place and post up on this day. Yeah, there could be something there.
There's a restaurant in Vegas called I hope I'm getting this right. It's been a while. I went there to go see the Conor McGregor Mayweather fight.
You saw it?
Yeah.
In person?
Yeah.
Sick.
So so we would go eat at this restaurant. We were there for a week because we were there for a jiu-jitsu competition. And so I think it's called El Taco Gordo. But this place is 2 restaurant owners got together and they bought this big place. It's like off the strip. Yeah, it's just slightly off the strip. But there's 2 separate restaurants in like a food court.
Dope.
Yeah, so people stand in line for this place, people stand in line for this place. They're both Mexican restaurants, but they do slightly different things. Yeah. So you order your food and you just sit wherever you can. It's like a free-for-all. It's almost like a restaurant version of Southwest Airlines. You sit wherever you need to.
That's actually that. Yeah, I'd like to go to a place like that.
Yeah, it's not. It feels authentic because it's like Chicago. You know, you got that place that just they're so overworked. It's like it's clean, but it's not like real clean.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
It's not white cloth.
Yeah, it's not white cloth. It's just like, you know that these motherfuckers are working their ass off, and that fucking, you know what I mean? Their food is fire, but they're like so exhausted at the end of the day, they don't like it. You know what I mean?
for sure. I just went to I went to this place in Berwyn. I can't even say the name. I can say the name if I read it, but I can't remember it for whatever reason. I can't. It's like, anyways, it's a Mexican style like steak place. Like they have like most of their menus like steak, different type of steak. And as I was eating last night, I was like, I love Mexican flavors on food. I love it. If that's the only style of food I had to choose from is Mexican, I'd be fucking good with it. Yeah. Like, I love it. I love the spice. I love chiles. I love all of it. So much more than Greek food. You know, I'm Greek and Irish, but I always say I have a Mexican soul. I don't know if it was because I was born in Berwyn, whatever.
Yeah.
But I love Mexican food. I could easily eat Mexican flavors every day. Easily.
Well, it's like a taco. You always have the tortilla, but you could fill it with something else.
Right. The taco might be the best form of transportation of meat to your mouth.
Yeah. Oh, it's a plate, but it's edible.
It's
an edible folded
It's better
plate.
than bread. It's better than a sandwich, right?
Yeah. But how? Yeah, man. That's the thing. It's like all this good food is real fucking bad for you.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is a taco bad for you?
Yeah.
What if you just get like steak and beans on it?
So, where in your macros does a fucking taco fit? Does it?
All right, so there's two local spots that I love the most. One of my boys' place is Almoson in Berwyn.
Oh, I heard of this place.
It's good on Ogden. Shouts to Almoson. And there's another place, Zacataco. Now, Zacataco has like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 locations. Different. They're both different.
They have like a really good quality meat.
And the way they char their steak, it's like you could really taste that char-broiled steak.
It's like they have the grills that Burger King has.
Yeah, for real. They do. It's significant. They're both very good, but they're different, and I like eating them at a different. I could eat them like do one day one.
I've had the Zacatacos. It actually feels like the meat is smoked.
It's fantastic,
right? Yeah.
And so I eat. All right, I'll get 2 steak burritos with just beans. Wow. So I feel like the worst thing about that meal is the flour tortilla, because I'm just having steak and beans. There's a lot of protein, a lot of fiber in those, both those combos. And then salsa. I mean, there's nothing wrong with fucking roasted vegetables. So the worst part of that meal is the flour tortilla. So, and those are like, I don't know, a big giant one's like what? I don't know, 80 calories tops.
Yeah.
So it's really not that bad. And I don't feel bad. Yeah. I feel like it's like, I don't want to say it's clean eating, but it's not that bad in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't do the cheese. See, I think where people go wrong is the sour cream and the cheeses, and I think that's what kind of makes it more unhealthy.
Yeah. If I'm gonna have a taco, it's gonna be the works. I'll be like, "What do you put on it?" And they're like, "Just onions and cilantro." I'm like, "Well, we're gonna have to do better."
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna need sour cream. I'm gonna need cheese. I'm gonna need. Can we use chicken as a topping on my steak? That's somebody like that's what I would do.
I just said chicharron, and it made me remember about. I made a fire turkey chili the other day. Okay. Fire, son. I impressed myself. I don't measure anything, so it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to reproduce. It's hard to reproduce sometimes.
Oh, no. I gotta write this shit down.
I know the spices I put in, but God knows the fucking
the amounts.
The amounts.
Oh, no.
But it was so good, and I topped it with chicharron. It was what made me do it. I never seen anyone top chili with chicharron, right? Okay. But in the supermarket, I'm like, oh, that would be a good combo. It was such a good combo.
Sometimes you can land a plane if the chef dies,
dude,
or if the pilot dies. Dude, you know what I mean? You did it.
It came out so good.
Yeah. It's hit or miss like that. Yeah. No, I remember thinking I used to know how to cook, and then I learned how to cook, and I was like, fuck, I didn't know how to cook.
Right.
So, but now I know how to cook, and I'm like, oh, okay. So, like, I could take, like, for instance, I can taste something, and I can kind of reproduce it.
Right.
I'd be like, oh, okay, I smell or taste something different. Like I used to get, like I always try to make, I don't do that anymore as of last Friday. But I used to try to make an authentic Chicago hot dog.
Okay.
Yeah. So the one thing, like I've done like diets, and they'd be like wrong diets, right? Because it's just me trying it, me like, all right, that's it. I'm just eating beans for a month. That doesn't work out. Don't just eat beans for a month.
Dude, the farts. The gas alone, dude. No, but what got you into cooking? What got you into it?
Well, so when I was growing up, even though I lived in Pilsen, bro, I just had what was cooked for me. We never really actually ate out, but we had a pizza place called Benny's. We would eat Benny's.
There's Benny's in Berwyn.
Okay, so I would have
the sweeter sauce. I love Benny. I grew up on Benny's.
I grew up on Benny's too. Like, you know what I mean? You would get a slice of pizza, fries. That's what I ate, right? That was our special food, like our celebration food. And if we were really balling that day, we would get Connie's Pizza. Yeah, so we would get Connie's Pizza. Connie's Pizza was like a splurge. And so
on Harlem?
No, where I don't know where it was, man. I mean, I was a kid that I didn't leave my neighborhood. I didn't know that downtown actually even existed back at the time. I would see the buildings, but it wasn't like the concept hadn't really developed in my mind that old people live there. It was like a far off place for me, like a mountain would be for a child that grew up in the mountain area. Mm-hmm. That's what downtown was for me. I just kind of hung out in Pilsen, and then I would go get Maxwell Street Polishes. Like, that was my idea of like restaurant eating.
Okay.
Dude, sometimes people are be like, no, that's a lie. What you're saying is not true. I'm telling you, this is true. I did not have a taco until I was 13 years old.
That's crazy.
So I was 13 years old, and I had it down the street on Archer, a restaurant called La Fiesta.
You know what though? That's not that crazy, because now that
changed my life.
Now that I think about it, I probably didn't. I didn't grow up with tacos. I don't remember eating them. So I would think high school is when I think my brother is the one who became like a little foodie first and started venturing out. And I don't think I had tacos until like.
How old are you when you're a freshman?
I was 14.
Okay, so maybe it was 14. Because I had it in high school. A friend took me. He's like, he was like, I'm gonna take you to La Fiesta tomorrow. I was like, oh. Okay,
I feel like I didn't eat it till the same time. Not like I never thought about it, but like now that I'm thinking about, for sure,
changed my life. I was like, when I ate that taco, the next day I asked my dad. So I only bought one because I only had $1. I asked my dad for another $1. The next day I went back and I bought another taco. I was like, oh my god, I wish I could have more.
That's so funny because I never thought about the first time I had a taco, and I don't think I had it until high school too.
Bro, let me tell you the story about this fucking restaurant. This restaurant called La Fiesta.
Okay.
It is the dopest fucking story I ever heard in my entire life, and it's 100% true. You could go to the restaurant and you can ask the lady, and it's a true story. It's like, it's a fucking fairy tale.
Okay.
So I ate my first taco at La Fiesta, high school. I don't know, 13, 14, whatever it is that whatever age you are as a freshman, that's when I had the taco.
Okay.
Changed my life. It was asada, right?
Okay.
Which is kind of like a grilled steak, cheese, and then the hot sauce. That's all that was. It was perfectly salted. The
red or green?
Soft. Green. Green. All day green.
All day, for sure. I do like doing the Christmas. I'll mix it sometimes.
Oh, okay. I do like pico. So this is another tangent on the side here. I'll make pico de gallo, and that's all I'll eat.
I can't do that.
Bro, I'll get a bowl of it like cereal, and I'll eat the whole thing. I'll make it. I'll let it sit in the restaurant. In the refrigerator for a day. and that'll be my meal. Bro, it's like, oh my god, I fucking love pico de gallo.
You know what's funny is that I won't eat raw onions, but if it's seasoned in a pico de gallo or
okay, yeah,
I could do it.
It kind of, I feel like it marinates enough where it feels like it's cooked.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
Agreed.
So yeah, so getting back to this restaurant La Fiesta. So when I ate there, there was a waitress there.
Mm-hmm.
This waitress served me my taco every time I went there. She worked there for 12 hours a day. Excuse me. Every day for, I don't know, 35 years, 40 years, however long it's been open, she's been there. So the owners, two twins, they decided to retire.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to close the restaurant, but they decided not to close it. They tell her one day, they're like, hey, we need you tomorrow to come, because it did close. It closed for 2 weeks. They told her, come to this law office this day. And she was like, oh my God, what's happening?
They signed it over to her?
They signed the restaurant over to her, and today she runs the place. She was
it.
the waitress back in the day, and today she is the owner. Her son came out of jail. Like this, it's a fairy tale story, man. So her son came out of jail. He became the cook. The daughter, so if you never hear her talk, she's the hottest woman you have ever seen.
What are you saying? Their voice is bogus.
Bro, this is the oh my God, let me just tell you. If she never talked, she would be Pam Anderson of the Mexican community, bro.
Oh,
bro,
nice.
Because she has
Sofia Vergara, whatever.
No, it's fucking. Let me see. Who would I compare her to? She's Nacho Libre.
Dude, I love that movie, by the way.
My favorite movie of all time.
Is it?
I swear to God, it's my favorite movie of all time.
Hold on, let's talk about it for a second.
All right.
That is my vibe check for a chick. I ask her, do you think Nacho Libre is funny? If she says no,
she's out the door.
She fucking passed the vibe check.
I've had yeses and I've had nos.
It's either you love or hate it. It's like one of those fucking binary things.
I watch it with them. I watch it with them.
Nacho.
How about they go through this whole scene where he's running away, and then he gets to this place where he makes a fire and he's kind of hanging out at the distance. And then
the tribe or the village is like fucking 20 feet away.
He's like, how did you find me?
Honestly, all right. Let me tell you,
greatest movie of all time.
Let me tell you why that that movie has a special place in my heart.
Jared Hess, you're the king. He's the director, man. He's badass.
So, it's senior year of high school. So 2006, and I believe that's when the movie came out. My buddies a lot of my friends smoked weed. I didn't smoke weed in high school. Okay. I smoked weed maybe once or twice, with my brother's friends. And my senior year, the day I graduated, I wasn't sure where I was gonna work. So I knew I had a job opportunity at this warehouse, and I knew I had to piss test for it. So my buddy, I was contemplating smoking weed, but I always was standoffish because I didn't know where I was going to work next. So when I graduated, my buddy was like, oh, let's smoke. I was like, I don't know if I can or not. And then my brother told me, he's like, hey, you're going to work for me this summer. So my brother used to be a trader at the Board of Trade, and I was going to be his clerk. So my brother was my boss. So as soon as I found out that I was going to work for him, I called my buddy. I was like, hey, I could smoke weed. He's like, hey, let's smoke and go to a movie tonight. I was like, I'm down. Nacho Libre was that movie.
Wow.
So we went to a forest preserve, me, my buddy Adam, and my buddy Dan, and we rolled a blunt up. And guess who rolled it? I rolled it.
Oh, you never your first blunt?
I rolled the first time I smoked.
Wait, was it a blunt or?
It was an actual blunt. So they gave me a Swisher blunt wrap. Okay. It was the one that
flavored, not flavored.
It was probably flavored.
Okay.
If I prefer no flavor now, but it was flavored at the time.
I don't know anything about this, but go ahead.
So we go to none of them know. Excuse me. None of them know how to roll a blunt. Neither do I. But like I get the concept. Like fucking roll it. You know, like get the stuff in the middle and roll it. You know,
you're
like
thinking tamale.
yeah, exactly. Straight up. So I was like, I roll it. Not good, but like smokable. So we all smoke on it. So
Leaf or flower?
What the Swisher was a not actual tobacco leaf like a what's it called a Vega is. It's not. It wasn't like a Vega, but I smoked flower as weed though.
Okay.
So we smoked the blunt and you know I drive to the Quarry Theater. You ever been to Quarry over in the countryside?
Hodgkins.
Yeah, there you go. And dude, so we get done smoking and I'm driving. So this is my first time getting high, right? Yeah. So I'm driving, fucking tweaking, right? Because I've never experienced. I've done drunk driving, right? Which let me say I'm not proud of it. Did a lot of drunk driving in high school, so I feel like I'm an expert in impaired driving. Right?
Oh, I don't condone this at all.
I don't condone it either. This is young me. I learned from this, but
we grow, people. We grow and we change. We get better.
So I thought of myself as an experienced impaired driver. So we start driving. I can't fucking feel my legs. I'm like, can't fucking feel them, and I don't want to let them know because I'm like, I'm not trying to be a bitch, right? Yeah. So whatever. We get there. I'm fucking safe, right? We go to the theater. Listen, dude. When I say I was laughing at everything because in my mind, I was like, yo, this is Jack Black acting like he's Mexican. And so, like, that little accent, everything he said to me was hilarious. And listen,
he caught it, man.
He would say something, I would start laughing. I'm in a packed theater. I'm the only one laughing. My friends were embarrassed to be next to me because I was dying, dude. I'm like, anything he said was funny to me, you know? And oh my God. So that movie has a forever a place in my heart because I got super high for the first time. Like I really wanted to get high. Yeah. And then that movie. That movie.
That was
so
the
great.
day you made it official, and Nacho leave it. It's like that certificate, that stamp.
Yes, and I actually just watched it a couple months ago and still laughed at all the same parts.
I have to say, honestly, I think I watched Nacho Libre like over 50 times. And then of those 50 times, so Netflix will have it and then not have it. Mm-hmm. I probably paid for it 20 of the times.
Dude. And
I love it that much. Because it'll go back and forth. It'll be on like a Prime, and then it's not on Prime. Then it's on Netflix. Then it's not on Netflix. Then it's on Amazon, but it's not on Prime, and so you have to pay for it. Dude, I'll do it.
The fucking.
And then me and my daughter will go back and forth. We'll like
go away, read some books.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Because he captured even when he says like words like he's like he'll say flusy. Yeah. But he elongates it like some of the Mexicans will do. Like some of the.
I don't want them to think you're a flusy.
Yeah. She's like.
My favorite color is tan. I like to play frisbee. Those are the favorite things I like to do every day.
How about he sees the nun, Encarnacion,
okay,
and then he's playing soccer with the kids, and then he kicks the ball, but his sandal flies off his foot, and then he still runs towards her. He gives no second thought.
He fucking pulls the throttle, and he fucking does that little. So good.
I love it.
And it's a Nickelodeon movie. Do you know?
It is such a good movie. So yeah, so the director is Jared Hess.
Okay.
He's a Jewish director, but he's also done a bunch of other films too.
They're all Jewish. I think they're all Jewish, dude.
Yeah, probably Hollywood is full.
It's all Jewish, dude.
But he also did Napoleon Dynamite, which is another this is his style of delivery. Of comedy.
Like that, kind of almost dry a little bit, dry comedy.
It's a little painful, but goddamn man, with Nacho Libre, he hit that ball out of the park
for sure.
Yeah,
Esqueleto.
Yeah, dude. How about with
we don't win because you are fat.
Yeah.
I need nutrients. It's the eagle eggs.
The eggs will give you eagle power.
Dude.
Oh my god. He gets
so
beat
many good
up by a crowd or a couple of guys that were not part of the crowd that he was supposed to.
Right, dude.
How about when he clenches his butt cheeks?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
God.
He goes, under this fancy clothes there is a man, and under this man there is a
nucleus.
Nucleus.
The greatest movie of all time, man.
Good toast.
There's so many great films.
They're
out
so
there.
good.
Yeah, man.
I
So
love it.
I thought that I had. So the first time I ever smoked weed wasn't even weed.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't think it was weed. It was something else. Some people tell me that it was probably hash.
Okay.
Hashish. Because it was
Dark.
Yeah, and like tar. They called
Okay.
it black tar. Oh no, I'm sorry. They didn't call it black tar. He said chunky black. So that's. I owned the restaurant.
What, was it on a glass pipe, bong? What was it?
Yeah, glass pipe. I was going through some hard times at the restaurant, and I was hanging on with one of my customers named Jonathan. He looked exactly like my brother, Babito, or my brother Jose. And I was like, man, bro, you look like my brother. And I showed him a picture of my brother, and he was like, holy shit, that's me. And I'm like, yeah, he's just a little taller than you. And he's like, hey, man, you want to come smoke? And I was like, smoke what? He's like, I was like, all right. He didn't say what it was. And I was like, well, what is it? He's like, we call it chunky black. Cool.
What was your experience like?
So that first inhale, I didn't get much.
Because you're kind of afraid to actually inhale it, right?
That's
how my experience was, yeah.
The world slowed down. And then it didn't only slow down, then the world reverberated. And then it felt like, you know how you feel right before you go out at the dentist's office?
Sure.
That was the feeling. Like times 10. Because like every move I made, it was like my body had, it felt like everything was slowed down and my body had the cramp feeling of pins and needles without the pins and needles. It was literally, if I had access to him, I'd probably be still smoking that stuff today. But I didn't have access to him all the time. Because he was a criminal.
Did you like it?
Loved it. Loved it.
I would say most people who try weed end up loving it. Now, I do think a lot of people who have bad experiences with trying weed most likely happen because they were at a party or a bar and they had been drinking and then they try weed, which is not a good idea. Even for an super experienced smoker, you do not want to mix like a drunk, like a buzz to drunk. Like a light buzz you could smoke and feel like really good. But if you're a drunk to like really drunk, you do not want to actually smoke because you will 100% get the spins. And then if you correlate to that feeling at that moment to what weed is like in general, you're not going to like it. Yeah. So I think a lot of people, they're like, I don't like weed. I don't like the way you didn't try it right, you know, or you did too much or whatever, or you did it, you know, people who do edibles, you know, they, depending on how much you have, you know, all that stuff I think is important to your first experience, because if you have a very negative first experience, of course you're not going to want to do it anymore. I would say my first experience was with I was in middle school, and one of my buddies, excuse me, I got the hiccups. One of my buddies' older brother, right? Of course, it's always like somebody's older brother is like how you get it.
Yeah.
And Trey's like, just take a hit. I remember taking a hit, and I was like really like light. I felt like light, a little goofy, a little like tingling in my jaws, like a little, but nothing crazy. I think I just took one hit and probably didn't even like take it that much because I was like kind of nervous taking it, but I definitely felt an effect. And then I remember the second time I ever did it, I came home to my house, and we had one of my brother's friends living with us at the time, and nobody was home. He was just home, and another friend of my brother's was over, which I knew very well, you know. So I walk into the house, they're like, "Hey, fucking come up." They're just, you know what? Like looking back, they were just like any other stoner. You want to get another person high, right? Like you're like, "Oh, smoke this," right? So that's essentially what they did, and I took like maybe one or two hits. And I got the munchies. I remember getting the munchies, and that was like my first experience with the munchies. Like, oh, I'm fucking hungry. I want to eat. And then I didn't smoke again for like, you know, probably like a year or two. And then, like I said, as soon as I graduated and I knew where I was going to work that summer, my brother was like, "Hey, you're going to work for me." I called my boy up. I'm like, "Hey, I could smoke." And he's like, "Oh, let's go out." And I think it was like that day or the next day we went out, and fucking Nacho Libre was out.
Spurred it up. Yeah. So, dude, we're coming to an hour and a half, and
I know it
flew. My card doesn't hold that much, so I think we're gonna end this conversation right here. But next time we'll carry on right where we left off. But so if anybody out there is listening, well, I want to thank you guys for listening. Dino, it's been a pleasure. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks, man. Thanks for all your stories, and I appreciate who you are.
Hell yeah, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So we're signing off, and thanks, you guys.